Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahuwah, the creator of heaven and earth, the ruler of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who the world ignorantly calls God, in the name of his only begotten son, Yahusha, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. On this video, I'm going to be going through the books of Corinthians to show you that it was written to the Israelites, by an Israelite, for the Israelites. Um, it's not written for everybody, you know. It's a letter to a certain group of people. You know, I can't just go to anybody's mailbox and open up their mail and just apply it to myself, you know. So with that, I'm gonna just get right into it. It's 1 Corinthians 1 verse 2. I'm gonna just read it all. Verse 1. Paul, called to be an apostle of Yahusha HaMashiach through the will of Yahuwah, and Sosthenes, our brother, unto the church of Yahuwah which is at Corinth, to them that are sanctified in Mashiach Yahusha, called to be saints. Who are the saints? Anybody can't be a saint. He talking to a specific group of people. The saints are the Israelites, the chosen ones. So I'm gonna get that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 33. Deuteronomy 33. And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of Yahuwah, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Yahuwah came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them, and he shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of his saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them. Yet he loved the people, all his saints. Are in your hand. And they sat down at the feet. They sat down at your feet. Every one shall receive of your words. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. And he was king in Jeshurun when the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together. So that's letting you know who the saints are. The saints are the Israelites. It's in the law. It's in the book of Psalms too. Psalms 50, verse 5. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Only the Israelites made a covenant with Almighty by sacrifice. No other nation on earth did that. So that's letting you know the books of Corinthians is written to the Israelites. Let's get a couple more. Psalms 106:16. They envied Moses also in the camp and Aaron, the saint of Yahuwah. That's letting you know it's written to the Israelites. Aaron was a Levite. He was a saint. Other scriptures let you know Psalms 148:8, Wisdom of Solomon 18:1. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 5:1. 1 Corinthians 5:1. It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as it not so much as named amongst the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. Now that's talking about the law. So why would he be talking to heathens about a law that was given to the Israelites? Because he was talking to the Israelites. And that's in the law. Leviticus chapter 18. Leviticus 18:6. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am Yahuwah. Verse 7. The nakedness of your father or the nakedness of your mother shall you not uncover. She is your mother. You shall not uncover her nakedness. Verse 8. The nakedness of your father's wife shall you not uncover. It is your father's nakedness. So that's what 1 Corinthians 5:1 is talking about. That it's forbidden for a man to sleep with his father's wife. And that's not talking about a man laying with his mother. That's talking about a man laying with one of his father's other wives, because it was common amongst us for men to have multiple wives. So that's polygamy of multiple wives in the New Testament. It's part of our heritage. It was common. Greco-Roman monogamy was from the Greeks. Moving on, 1 Corinthians 6:1. Dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? So again, that's letting you know that it's talking to the Israelites, because it mentioned the saints, which means we supposed to handle our problems amongst ourselves. We not supposed to go to the heathen to handle our problems about the law. That's why it mentions the law. Another one, 1 Corinthians 9, verse 9. For it is, Salaki, for it is written in the law of Moses, you shall not muzzle the mouth of the ox that treads out of the corn. Does Yahuwah take care for oxen? That's Deuteronomy 25:4. Why is he reciting the law? Why is Paul reciting the law if it's written to heathens? Why he paraphrasing the law to heathens? The law wasn't given to heathens, it was only given to Israelites. So Paul was talking to the Israelites, just like it says in 1 Corinthians 10. Moreover, brothers, I would not that you should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea. That's talking about the covenant made at the mountain when the cloud came down. That was the Israelites. That's talking about the Israelites passing through the Red Sea when they was fleeing the Egyptians. That's to the Israelites. No heathens could relate to that. They wasn't there. And we're all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. But with many of them, Yahuwah was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Why is he talking to heathens about what happened to the Israelites in the wilderness? It don't apply to them. So he was talking to the Israelites. The Corinthians was Israelites that was scattered, living in Corinth. It's plain to see. You gotta be wicked to deny that. 1 Corinthians 10:26. For the earth is Yahuwah's and the fullness of it. He reciting the law to him again. And Psalms 24:1. 1 Corinthians 10:26 is reciting Psalms 24:1 verbatim and paraphrasing Deuteronomy 10:14. Why is Paul reciting the law to heathens if it was written to heathens? It don't make sense. He's talking to the Israelites. That's plain. Move on to 2 Corinthians, because it's plain that the first book is written to the Israelites. 2 Corinthians 1, verse 1. Paul, an apostle of Yahushua Mashiach, by the will of Yahuwah, and Timothy, our brother, unto the church of Yahuwah which is at Corinth, with all the saints, which are all in Achaia. That's another one. The saints is Israelites. So even the second book is written to the Israelites. I don't need to go back to Deuteronomy and Psalms again to recite it over. 2 Corinthians 5:18 and 19. And all things are of Yahuwah, who has reconciled us to himself by Yahushua Mashiach, and has given to us the ministry of reconciliation, to wit, that Yahuwah was in Mashiach, reconciling the world unto himself, not imputing their trespass unto them, and has committed unto us the word of reconciliation. That's multiple times Paul used the word reconciliation. You can't have a reconciliation unless it was a prior agreement. So he's talking to the Israelites because he's reconciling the original covenant and opening the covenant back up to the Israelites that was scattered as promised in the law. That's why it says not imputing their trespass. Trespass is sin. The law was only given to the Israelites. And reconciling the world to himself. Israelites are the world. Let's get that in Isaiah. Isaiah 45:17. But Israel shall be saved in Yahuwah with an everlasting salvation. You shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. So Paul was, the world is Israel, the Israelites. Just like you got the sports world, the political world, the pet world, you know. I'll get one more about the world. Wisdom of Solomon 18:24. For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the fathers graven, and your majesty upon the diadem of his head. That's talking about the Levite priest, long robe, and the ephod with the 4 rows of 3 stones on each row for the 12 tribes of Israel. That's the world. So Paul was writing to the Israelites, talking about the world. He wasn't talking about earth. That's ridiculous. It's another one. 2 Corinthians 6:16. 2 Corinthians 6:16. And what agreement has the temple of Yahuwah with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. As Yahuwah has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their ruler, and they shall be my people. That's paraphrasing Leviticus 26:12. So again, he's reciting and paraphrasing the law to the Israelites. He's not writing to heathens. He's not writing to Greeks, Greek Edomites. He's writing to the Israelites that was calling themselves Greeks, just like Israelites in America was calling themselves Americans, African Americans, before they was woken up. What's another one? 2 Corinthians 18:15. As it is written, he that has gathered much has nothing over, and he that has gathered little has no lack. That's Exodus 16:18. Why is he paraphrasing and reciting the law to heathens. If Corinthians is written to heathens, it's written to the Israelites. That's too many witnesses to deny. Let's just go to Exodus 16:18 so you can see. Exodus 16:18. And when they did met it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. That's talking about the manna that came down when Yahuwah fed the Israelites bread from heaven. So why is Paul writing about what happened to the Israelites to heathens if the Corinthians was heathens? And I don't want to hear that mixed the church in Corinth was mixed with Israelites and heathen. That's a bunch of hogwash. That's a bunch of hogwash. Let me see. Second Corinthians 9, verse 9. As it is written, he has dispersed abroad. He has given to the poor. His righteousness remains forever. There Paul go again reciting scripture to the Israelites because he was writing to the Israelites. He just paraphrased Psalms 112, verse 9. Psalms 112, verse 9. He has dispersed. He has given to the poor. His righteousness endures forever. His horn shall be exalted with honor. Paul was writing to the Israelites. It's the nail in the coffin right here. There's no denying Paul was writing to the Israelites. 2 Corinthians 11:22. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they Abraham's seed? So am I. And it didn't say seeds. It says seed. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons that became the 12 tribes of Israel. Those are the families that was Abraham was promised he would be a father to many nations. Because every tribe became his own nation. Let's get that. Let's get that. It's Genesis 35:11. Genesis 35:11. And Yahuwah said to him, I am Yahuwah Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of you, and kings shall come out of your loins. That was Yahuwah talking to Jacob. He told him that many nations will come out of his loins. Because he had 12 sons, And each son had their own sub-tribes. Let's get that even further. Genesis 48:19. This is Jacob blessing Manasseh. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. That's what was promised to Abraham and Jacob, to father many families of the earth. Now you know 2 Corinthians 11:22 was written to the Israelites because he said plainly and openly. That's why in verse 24 he says, of the Jews 5 times received I 40 stripes, save one. He was talking about the law of Deuteronomy 25:3, where you can't beat a man with more than 40 lashes. Otherwise, you make him look bad before the people. So Paul was relating to the Israelites because he was an Israelite himself. He said it in 2 Corinthians 11:22. And with that, I'm gonna close out. I know the truth, and I'm gonna keep learning it for the rest of my life. Shalom.